A team of America's most elite soldiers, handpicked from the legendary U.S. Delta Force, steps off a C-17 transport plane onto the sweltering tarmac in the Philippines. These guys are the absolute pinnacle of special operations. Operators who've conducted the most classified raids on the planet, taken down high-value targets in the dead of night, and walked away from firefights that would break ordinary men. They're geared up with the best the U.S. military can provide. Custom rifles, advanced night vision, body armor that laughs at bullets, and drones that give them eyes in the sky. As they unload their kits, one seasoned Delta operator turns to his teammate with a smirk and says, "These Filipinos don't stand a chance against us. This joint exercise, it's going to be a complete domination. 5-0 our way, easy." Little did he know, those words would become the most regretted in his career. Over the next grueling days in the dense jungles and urban training grounds of the Philippines, that arrogance would shatter spectacularly as a battle-hardened Philippine Special Forces team delivered a humiliating 5-0 shutout, forcing the Americans to eat their words in stunned silence. What started as a confidence-boosting training exchange turned into a profound lesson in humility, adaptability, and the raw power of fighting on home turf. If you think high-tech gear and endless funding always win the day, this story will flip everything you believe about modern warfare upside down. Stick with me through every intense detail, because by the end, you'll see why this underdog victory still echoes in military circles today. Let's set the historical stage to fully appreciate the drama. The U.S.-Philippines military alliance goes back over a century, from the Philippine-American War to World War II, where Filipino guerrillas fought alongside American forces against the Japanese. In the mid to late 2010s, amid America's pivot to Asia, these exercises ramped up. One particular JCT stood out, involving a small detachment from Delta Force, the U.S. Army's premier Tier 1 unit, and top operators from the Philippine Army's elite formations. First, who are these Delta Force guys? The 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta, or Delta for short, is the stuff of legends and classified files. Founded in 1977 by Colonel Charlie Beckwith after he trained with the British SAS, Delta was created to handle the rising threat of terrorism, hostage rescues, direct action raids, and counterterrorism ops where failure isn't an option. They recruit from the best: Army Rangers, Green Berets, even other services sometimes. Selection is hell. Months of brutal physical tests, long ruck marches through mountains with insane weights, sleep deprivation, psychological evaluations, and then the operator training course where only a tiny percentage graduate. These operators have been in the thick of it. The raid on Osama bin Laden's compound, countless hunts in Iraq and Afghanistan, rescues in Somalia. Delta's doctrine emphasizes speed, surprise, and overwhelming violence. They've rarely tasted defeat, and that breeds a quiet confidence. Or, in some cases, outright arrogance. Now, contrast that with the Philippine side. The opposing team was a composite of the finest from the 1st Scout Ranger Regiment and the Light Reaction Regiment. Their training course is one of the toughest in the world. Candidates endure months of extreme physical punishment, culminating in a test mission that's essentially a real combat patrol in insurgent areas. Survive with minimal supplies, evade enemies, gather intel. That's graduation. The Light Reaction Regiment, often called the Philippine Delta Force, was stood up in the early 2000s specifically for counterterrorism, with direct training and funding from U.S. Special Forces. They draw from Scout Rangers and Special Forces vets, focusing on hostage rescue, urban raids, and rapid response. These units have real scars, fighting Abu Sayyaf and Basilan, holding the line in the Marawi siege against ISIS-affiliated terrorists, conducting raids where one wrong move means death. Their gear? Functional but basic. Older M4 carbines, standard helmets, limited night vision for key members, and a lot of improvisation. But their superpower is adaptability, intimate terrain knowledge, and a warrior ethos forged in asymmetric wars where resources are scarce, but resolve is infinite. The exercise was held at a training facility like Fort Magsaysay or in Mindanao's rugged areas, places where humidity saps strength, insects swarm, and the jungle hides endless surprises. It was structured as 5 challenging scenarios, each designed to test interoperability, but quickly turning competitive. Judges from both nations scored on objectives completed, time, accuracy, and survivability. The Delta team arrived expecting to impress, perhaps even mentor. Whispers of overconfidence spread. That quote about Filipinos not standing a chance captured the sentiment. The Philippine commander, a veteran of countless anti-insurgent ops, just nodded and prepared his men. Scenario 1. Close quarters battle in a mock urban compound. The setup was a simulated terrorist stronghold, multi-room buildings, hallways, hostages, and armed role-players firing simunition rounds that sting like hell. Objective: breach, clear, rescue hostages, neutralize threats with minimal collateral. Delta went first, demonstrating textbook perfection. They approached undercover, used a drone for quick recon, stacked at the door. Explosive breach, bang, flashbangs stun everyone inside. They pie corners flawlessly, communicate with terse radio calls. Crossing, clear left, tango down. Thermals spot hidden enemies through smoke. Hostages secured, all threats eliminated in 11 minutes flat. Clean, professional, dominant. The Americans exchanged nods. This is why we're the best. Then the Filipinos .no drones. No explosives on every door. They observed quietly, then split into fire teams. One created a loud diversion outside with simulated fire, drawing guards away. The assault team slipped through a side entry they'd scouted. A weak wall kicked in silently with boots. Hand signals only, moving like ghosts. They used the building's layout against the defenders, funneling them into kill zones. Precise bursts, close-range efficiency, hostages out in 8 minutes 30 seconds. No unnecessary shots, no friendly casualties. Judges score it. Philippines 1, US 0. Delta operators shrugged it off as lucky knowledge of the site, but the seed of doubt was planted. Scenario 2, jungle ambush and patrol detection. Deep in triple canopy forest where GPS signals falter and every rustle could be death. Task: one team patrols a trail while the other sets an ambush. Detect, engage, win without total wipeout. Delta set up masterfully, ghillie suits blending with foliage, IR markers for coordination, thermal scopes spotting heat signatures. They waited patiently, ready to unleash hell. But the jungle is unforgiving to outsiders. Heavy gear caused noise, unfamiliar plants snagged equipment, and sweat-fogged optics. The Philippine team, many raised in rural provinces, moved differently. They used natural camouflage, mud, leaves stuck with sap, and masked scents with crushed herbs. Listening to bird calls for warnings, reading disturbed soil, they detected Delta's position from a single misplaced footprint. Flanking silently through underbrush, they engaged from blind spots before Delta could fully respond. The ambushers became the ambushed. Score: 2-0 Philippines. An American muttered, terrain bias. But the Philippine colonel just smiled. If this reversal of fortunes has you hooked, elite tech versus raw ingenuity, pause right here and smash that subscribe button. Turn on notifications too, because I'm dropping more untold stories like this, forgotten raids, modern upsets, and the real heroes of special operations. Your sub fuels these deep dives. Let's grow this channel massive. Scenario 3, maritime boarding and interdiction. Nighttime on rolling seas. Approach a hostile vessel quietly. Board, secure deck and below. Neutralize crew. Delta shown initially. Zodiac boats with muffled engines. Grappling hooks launched perfectly under NVGs that made darkness irrelevant. Suppressed shots drop sentries, methodical clear of cabins. But waves toss the boat. Heavy plates tired arms on climbs, and salt spray glitch ed some electronics. The Filipinos, coastal island natives many of them, embrace the water. Lighter loads, some freediving approaches to avoid detection. They boarded from unexpected angles, using the swell for momentum. Improvised tools, ropes knotted on the fly, worked flawlessly, faster ascent, quicker clears. They completed in record time. No tech hiccups because minimal tech was used. 3-0. Delta started adapting mid-exercise, ditching some gear, but it was too late for this round. Scenario 4, long-range infiltration and recon. Delta's plan was high-tech heaven, mini drones for overhead, satellite uplinks for bursts, precise GPS navigation. Methodical advances, but they left traces, compressed vegetation, faint thermal blooms from body heat. Filipinos relied on stars, rivers for silent travel, and instincts honed from evading real rebels. They blended into mock villages as locals, changing clothes, speaking dialects. Exfil clean as a whistle. When judges reviewed, Delta's position had been compromised hours earlier without them knowing. For -0. Frustration mounted on the U.S. side. Extract a wounded teammate from a hot zone while suppressing enemies and stabilizing the casualty. Delta followed SOPs. Heavy suppressive fire to pin down, coordinated drags with litters, advanced tourniquets and IVs from med kits, simulated CAS calls. Filipinos improvised genius. Fashion litters from bamboo and ponchos in seconds, used natural ditches and foliage smoke for cover, lighter movements for speed. Their medic applied pressure with local plant compresses alongside standard aid, real bush knowledge. They hauled the casualty out faster, under fire that barely touched them. Decisive win. Final tally, 5-0 Philippines. The debrief was somber for the Americans. The Delta team leader shook hands with his counterpart, admitting, "You outplayed us in every way. No excuses about gear or rules, just respect." The arrogant pre-exercise chatter? It became a quiet lesson never repeated. Why the upset? Delta's tech edge faltered in unpredictable environments. Batteries die, signals jam, weight slows. Filipinos thrived on simplicity, home advantage, and constant real-world sharpening against clever insurgents. It's a classic asymmetric tale, like Vietnam or Afghanistan, where determination trumps dollars. This event influenced both sides. USSOF incorporated more low-tech, adaptive training. Philippines gained confidence and more investment. Personal stories abound. A scout ranger driven by family lost to terrorists, outthinking a Delta vet with global deployments. Or the Delta operator who later said in private circles, "We learned humility the hard way." Broader context, Philippine elites like LRR and Rangers have earned global respect through ops like Marawi, where they reclaimed a city from ISIS forces house by house. In the end, that boast, "Filipinos don't stand a chance," turned into motivation. Delta ate those words, emerged wiser, and the alliance strengthened. This 5-0 story proves, in war, heart, smarts, and soil knowledge can topple giants. Thanks for sticking through this epic breakdown. Like if it fired you up, comment your favorite upset story, and subscribe for more.